They're both losers! Losers!
You guys suck.
You suck.
Hey, asshole! You guys suck!
Oh no! We suck again!
Before the year, Sharks-Oilers looked like it was going to be an absolutely brutal game, with one team expected to be in contention for the Stanley Cup and another in contention for Macklin Celebrini. This was thought to be an unwatchable game on the schedule before the first puck even dropped. Now a month into the season, it is unwatchable for yet another reason, because it is the first installment of failure on ice. On one bench, we have the San Jose Sharks, a team expected to be here. They stripped this team down to the studs over the last season, with just Logan Couture and Thomas Hertl propping up the beached carcass. The reason the Sharks are so bad this year is, quite frankly, that they just don't have any talent. Even with names like Anthony Duclair and Matt Hoffman, nobody can score, they give up a boatload of shots, and their goaltending isn't good enough to compensate for it. Yes, Mackenzie Blackwood and Kaapo Kähkönen have done admirably in their efforts to keep every game from turning into a blowout. Well, they did up until their last few games when they gave up 10 goals and 10 goals respectively. But then a glimmer of hope. The San Jose Sharks got their shit together with an assist due to the incompetence of the Philadelphia Flyers and finally won a game. Dare they dream now to go for a second? On the other hand, the Edmonton Oilers weren't supposed to be here at all. They were supposed to be back in contention for the Stanley Cup after making it to the Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago. With guys like McDavid and Draisaitl, they should be a powerhouse, even if their defense and goaltending was a bit suspect coming into this year. Now though, they would take suspect in a heartbeat. Their defense is absolutely terrible with guys like Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci becoming black holes. They have absolutely no goal scoring depth, and Connor McDavid has looked mortal this year while losing a few games due to injury. Leon Draisaitl is pulling his weight, but guys like Evander Kane, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, they're stuck in neutral. And the Connor Brown experiment has been an abject disaster. 0 points in 9 games. But the Oilers' biggest issue is between the pipes. Stuart Skinner has been absolutely atrocious this year. Jack Campbell, still in the second year of a 5-year deal, is even worse. He's gotten waived, it's been so bad. It's been a depth spiral they've been unable to pull themselves out of, and fans are starting to question whether Jay Woodcroft is the right man for this job. With McDavid back in the lineup though, there is hope that a weak San Jose Sharks team could be a get-right game for the Oilers to help them rebound their season, but a loss might drag them even further down into the quicksand. 2 crappy teams enter, 1 leaves with a win, and we all get to watch a glorified monkey knife fight on ice. Early in the first period, San Jose is still clearly feeling the buzz after that first win. Not smoking cigars after their victory like the formerly of Oakland Raiders did, the Sharks came out with the force and almost get a goal a minute and a half in with Mikael Granlund beating Stuart Skinner, but just not enough. On an Oilers power play entry, McDavid is uncharacteristically stripped of the puck, leading to a shorthanded break that thankfully Skinner stops. But then disaster. Late in the first, the San Jose Sharks get the first goal of the game after Hertl finds Zetterlund in front, and the Oilers do a very gracious job of giving him all the room to wire a shot past Stuart Skinner. Not Skinner's fault, but just like with most of the other goals scored against him this year, you'd like him to make a big stop at least once. Early in the second, the Oilers are breaking out of their own zone, and Leon Draisaitl's pass brings Darnell Nurse? Darnell Nurse on a 2-on-1 takes a shot and wires it in, beating Mackenzie Blackwood. And hey, considering that Darnell Nurse now has more goals on the year than McDavid, maybe they should try giving Connor McDavid some time on the back end. I mean, he probably has better zone awareness than Nurse. The Oilers are buzzing after that and nearly score again because the Sharks defense is awful, but Mackenzie Blackwood once again bails out that crappy Sharks defense with an absolutely ridiculous save. Later on in the second, after San Jose's zone entrance is only feebly stopped by the Oilers and they make it into the zone, a harmless shot ricochets in front, and Tomas Hertl manages to bury it. Once again, not Stuart Skinner's fault, but more on the Oilers, who make some of the laziest, one-handed, reachingest defense attempts in the neutral zone that I've ever seen. Seriously, it was like watching 4 guys with grabby sticks try and reach something off of a high shelf while playing a video game with the other hand. And then, suddenly, a hope for the Oilers fans as Connor McDavid redons his Superman cape, springs himself down the ice, goes through everybody, gets off a great shot, and it's rejected by Mackenzie Blackwood. Well, it's nice to see the old cape flapping in the wind at least. And so we head into the third, the Oilers trailing by 1 and the Sharks in a position to do the funniest thing ever. And it looks like it's gonna happen because 2 minutes into the third period, the Sharks get a 2-on-1, great transition defense again by the Oilers. Bye-bye! Philip Zadina manages to pot a goal. Holy Christ! That's 3 this year, as many as he had all of last season. Granted, it was only 30 games, but still, he seems to be a perfect fit in this Sharks team that is blatantly tanking. But now the Oilers are beginning to panic. Nugent-Hopkins takes 2 terrible obstruction penalties, one partially negated by a hold on a shorthanded break by Ryan McLeod, but the Sharks are sitting back, circling, daring the Oilers to come forward, and eventually the dam breaks. A Bouchard shot from the point doesn't get completely smothered by Blackwood, and the San Jose defense conveniently doesn't mark either of the 2 Oilers right on the doorstep. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins bangs it home. it's a 1-goal game. And off the ensuing faceoff, McDavid is stupidly tripped by Granlund, giving the Oilers a late power play, one more opportunity to tie the game and avoid a hilariously terrible loss. With the net empty and already a man to the good, what can the Oilers power play do, oh Magic Con?
Nothing.
The shell has spoken!
That's right, a bunch of shots from the perimeter, 2 minutes of zone time wasted, and the Oilers end the power play with no goals and end the game with no points. Now credit must be given to Mackenzie Blackwood. He stops 39 of 41 shots as the Oilers are clearly the more desperate team on the night. And once again, from the goaltending perspective, they got absolutely dusted. Stuart Skinner allowing 3 goals on 21 shots. Not to say that this loss is on him, but tonight was the difference of one team having a goalie who could make clutch saves and the other not. McDavid also ends the game pointless, despite the fact that he led all forwards in time on ice. And the questions are already swirling as to who's going to take the blame for this. Jay Woodcroft is the obvious fall man, but if Ken Holland's job might be on the line too. He's the reason for the lack of depth and this team not having a viable goaltending option. Could this team take a big swing in the trade market, maybe shipping off a high draft pick for goaltending help or more forward depth, or do they decide to pack it in? They can't become full sellers, they're not going to trade away guys like Draisaitl and McDavid, but could Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Darnell Nurse suddenly become available on the trade market? The way things are going, the Oilers are going to have to cover up the puck on this year, try and acquire some assets, shed some salary cap, and retool this roster. As for the Sharks, well, we didn't really learn too much about them that we didn't already know. Their defense is pretty terrible, they've got a few guys who can score, mainly Thomas Hertl, and they have some good goaltending that's keeping them afloat. Hertl's actually a guy who could garner a lot of interest at a trade deadline, especially if he keeps playing this way. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Sharks move on from him, given their desire to completely retool this roster. But while there may be dark days ahead for the San Jose Sharks, while they may give up 10 goals in a game yet again this season, at least they can leave tonight with their heads high, knowing that they were not the biggest failure on ice.